Okay, so thank you so much, Huzaifa, for taking the time today for being a part of our community of practice channel here on YouTube. And on behalf of SITSI, I want to thank you so much for your leadership today.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
Awesome. So as always, we begin by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toil without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So if you can please do us the honors by introducing yourself to our listeners or viewers and tell us about your amazing work.
Amazing. My name is Huzaifa Faisal, and my work sits at the intersection of community development, systems thinking, and social innovation. And over the past few years, I have been fortunate to work alongside nonprofit sector leaders, some grassroots organizations, and government partners in Alberta to experiment with new ways of tackling complex social challenges. A big part of what I do is to create and convene spaces like labs and collaborative workshops where diverse stakeholders can come together, make sense of complexity, and design solutions that reflect the realities and context of their communities and their work. Recently, at the Canadian Forum for Social Innovation that I had the privilege to attend, I was reminded that urban isn't the blueprint, and that really resonates with me. So in my work, I strive to meet communities where they are, whether they are rural or urban, and then co-create pathways that make sense in their own unique contexts.
Very good. Awesome. So what inspires you about the work that you do?
What inspires me is the creativity and resilience of the community leaders when I go out into the communities. And even with what I have found in most contexts is that even with the limited resources, they find ways to create change. I've been struck by how necessity breeds creativity. And I've come across examples where limited resources, structural barriers, and communities have come together to think through an issue and come up with ways to resolve those issues. One Elder Anne at the Canadian Forum for Social Innovation said that every day I wake up with gratitude to embrace another day. And this is something similar that I have heard from another elder in Alberta community. And that mindset captures what I see in my work. That is people carrying both gratitude and determination, even when they are dealing with the most tough circumstances. And most inspiring moments are when people start to see themselves not as problem solvers for their own little organizations and their own limited context, but as contributors to shared and collective futures. That is what most inspires me as well.
That's amazing. Very, very needed in the community, and we thank you for your service for sure. So what are some of the challenges or barriers that you face in your work, and how have you overcome them or in the process of overcoming them?
Yeah, we ain't gotten all the problems and barriers solved, right? So in my context, what comes up a lot is that our systems that are around us were built for a different era. So as again, since the Canadian Forum for Social Innovation is is top of my mind, I think about what was shared by speakers and the participants. And one of them had shared that we cannot create future for our grandkids with the systems that we built for our grandparents. So too often what I have come across is that structures, and for example, funding structures are designed to reward short-term fixes instead of supporting the long-term transformative work that communities really, really need here. Another barrier that I've come across is the time to build trust. And I have come to see that as many leaders at the forum also echoed that trust isn't just a nice to have. It is actually a driver of change when you spend time at the front end. So to work through these barriers in my work, what I do is focus on building deep relationships, creating that space for safe to fail experimentation, and also fostering collaborations across different boundaries where people can expand their view and come together and work together. If we can build trust, I believe, and begin shifting incentives towards collaboration rather than competition, that can open up the doors for more lasting change.
Exactly. We do have issue with, just trust and, having that dependency on one another that we can come together collectively to make change. But yeah, with organizations like what you do and, at SETSI, we're trying our best, right? For now and future generations, for sure.
One step at a day, one step every
That's
day.
it. That's it. Awesome. So, do you have anything like that you want to like amplify or anything that you want to share with us as far as in your current work?
So a few things that I want to focus on or amplify would be that I'm currently doing are the building capacity for the leaders and organizations to think more systematically and acting collaboratively. Also, creating spaces for experimentation where communities can test ideas, think about, brainstorm bold ideas, test ideas without the fear of failure. Less band-aids and more breakthroughs kind of mindsets, and also creating conditions for where this can happen smoothly. Um, Strengthening the resilience and trust so that organizations can adapt without losing sight of their values. And yeah, trust building, again, as I mentioned earlier, is something that I would like to continue to work and amplify in all the work that I do. Trust building is a full-time job, as Sandra Lapointe had mentioned at the forum as well, which kind of has remained with me, and I remind myself of that often.
That's right. That's right. Amazing. So, let me ask you, how do you feel about the future of social impact in Canada?
I consider honestly myself as a beginner in this space, Matt, and I feel cautious also, and also very hopeful. As mentioned, that on one side we say we face big systemic barriers, and on the other side there is those humans and individuals and stakeholders, interest holders that are demanding change and not begging. They are demanding the change. So that gives me hope. And also, I have seen that the sector is learning to be more collaborative, being more open, and moving from closed innovation to shared innovation, innovative spaces. And if we can hold on to the spirit of, say, urgency, flexibility that communities unlocked during the COVID time, pandemic time, where the decisions and the resources came closer to where the problems were, I think the future of social innovation is quite bright.
Exactly. I always say, like I said before about the new generation, they are holding us accountable because they are very witty, and they want to know the who, what, when, where, and why. So, we're
Totally.
laying a foundation for them, but they're also, they want to know what bags are we leaving for them, what are things that they're gonna have to carry over and continue on in this work. So I'm definitely hopeful
Brilliant.
when it comes to comes to the newer generation for sure. Awesome. So, let me ask you, what's your ultimate goal, and what does success look like to you?
Um, I would say the success, for me, the success is the effectiveness of the communities and them feeling empowered to shape their own futures would be success from my perspective. And success isn't just the one project or one program. It's when the leaders have the confidence, the tools, and relationships to keep working on the challenges long after I'm gone, even. It reminds me of Andrea's comment where she had said at the forum that we have some solutions, or maybe all of the solutions, even in the communities, what we need is the structures, will, and systems to roll them out. And that again also resonated with me and kind of drives what I do kind of every day. Success for me, from that particular perspective, is about helping create those conditions so that the solutions that the communities already hold on to can actually take root, spread and scale, and last for a longer time. Communities and innovators already have many solutions, as I have said earlier. So locally rooted, and how do we give them space, structures, and avenues for them to roll out? And another way of I view success is to look at the new models of governance where collaboration is incentivized and not competition. And also the diverse voices, the voices at the fringes, they are at the center of decision-making processes.
That's so true. So true. We thank you for that. And this is something that definitely, we've had multiple interviews, but it never grows old, when talking about collaboration. There's African saying that if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, we go together. And that's the key to all of this. So my last question for you is just your closing thoughts and calls to actions at this time.
I would say I want to leave the listeners with an invitation, and that invitation would be to stay curious and courageous in the face of complexity. Again, whoever you think might be left behind, put them right smack in the center. Continue to build trust relentlessly, regardless of your context, because it is a real driver of change. And what I also tell the people or the communities that I work with is to not wait for perfect solutions and start small, start experimenting, collaborating, and demanding the resources that need to scale what works. And that is the invitation that I would leave all the listeners with and viewers with.
Beautiful. So we thank you once again on behalf of SETSI, um, Huzaifa. We thank you so much for all the work that you do. We ask you for continued success, much health, much prosperity to you. And we will close the way that we began by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toil without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So once again, we thank you so much, and I'm sure it's not a goodbye, it's a see you later. It's all about
Absolutely.
collaboration here. So thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.